So these, when I say people are open to staying at home, it's not because we're sitting around doing nothing. It's not because people are being mollycoddled. Do you know what I mean? It's not because we're whatless, which means like useless. These aren't people who are just sitting around waiting on a bank of mum and dad, because often as migrants, we don't have the bank of mum and dad. But when it comes to family values, those are still very strong. And I feel like people from certain cultural backgrounds are more open to that idea. For example, I didn't live with my husband until we got married. I was not living with a man who wasn't at least my fiance. And that's because I was raised in a two-parent household and both my parents were married. So for me to live with a boyfriend was never going to happen, you know. And once again, this is not me saying that it's the perfect way of being, because everyone do what suits you. But I think it's very interesting that other cultures are more open to their children staying at home for as long as they need to. We talk about the Indian, the Asian culture. And I'm thinking to myself, as Black people, whether we are Nigerian, American, whatever, is it benefiting us for our children to fly the coop early? Because financially, when it comes to earnings, generational wealth, in a lot of countries, when you look at a lot of stats, we are behind, you know. And when I look at cultures like the Asian community, who are happy to be living together well into their 20s and 30s and are able to pull their money together and buy businesses, pull their money together and buy houses, it seems to be benefiting them. I can't talk on the Latino culture because I don't know a lot about it, but I'm just sitting there thinking, yes, there's definitely something to be said about independence, and 100% pressure can make diamonds, right? 1000%. But is it really truly benefiting us to leave our parents' homes at 18, 19, 20 before we are financially set up? I don't know. I don't, from what I'm seeing right now, I don't know if it is.
Got it. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, there was a comment that just came up. And just so if in case anyone's curious, I'm a proud Indigenous Black American. All of my, like, as far as I can go back on my family trees, everybody is from the South here in the States. I don't have any, any folks who have immigrated into my bloodlines in my family trees that I could see. But there was a comment that was put up by Paul, and Paul says, "I'm 55 years of age, born and raised in South Georgia, of sharecropping parents and grandparents. My father and mother gave birth to 8, and all of us are doing great. And my mother never made excuses." Yeah, I mean, I could just speak to my own culture, my own heritage. Like, we are extremely, extremely hardworking. We set the bar really, really high in terms of education. Education has been extremely important. It was important during slavery when we were, risking our lives literally to empower ourselves through education, and also afterwards, right? Because, we've built some of the greatest educational institutions in this country and arguably the world, HBCUs. But oftentimes what I've found during, like, when I look at the history of Black America, right? Because I'm also an African American Black Studies scholar. I did my undergraduate work in Black Studies. Oftentimes, Black folks would leave the home, or they would leave the South for safety and resources and jobs up north, but definitely for school. And if the oldest didn't go to school or college themselves when they left the house, they went to work and they sent money home to their, so that their younger siblings could go to school and be educated. I know for sure in my house, my parents' homes, both of my parents were raised in 2-family homes. Their parents were raised in 2-family homes. I was raised, by the grace of God, also in a 2-parent household. And the expectation was school and work. So, when I think I got my first summer job at the age of 14, because shout out to Marion Barry, DC Mayor for life. He made sure that all youth were employed. But then also, when I wasn't working in the summertime, school and all of my extracurricular activities were really important. And that was just the tradition of the household. And so even when I was able to work, I was able to contribute to the household even when I was in high school. And so, like I said, the bar and these values have been set really, really high. And, outside of a lot of mainstream media narratives out there that unfortunately they try to paint a picture of Black Americans being lazy, being undereducated, not caring about education, et cetera, just which really isn't true. So there's a whole educational layer when we can talk about like why are some of the reasons some of us leave the household or want to leave the household at the age of 18, or why parents are kind of like, all right, you need to go out on your own and be able to fend for yourselves. So I just wanted to throw that out there as my little piece of commentary. But I guess I can turn it over to you, Minister Connie.
Yes. And, I seen the comment that came up. We do teach our children a lot of things about, I do know that the people that was raising me, my mother and my aunties, and just they were very close because my mother's parents died when she was young. So her older siblings kind of like watched over and raised her. So they took us in as her children too. I'm from a family, siblings